There were two quarterbacks who walked into the same stadium, my friend, with the same offensive scheme, the same playbook, and exactly the same goal. One of them played surrounded by the real backups, with the more reliable offensive line, and with the receivers who will probably be on the roster in September. The other one went out there with the entire third team in front of him, with blockers who might not even survive the final cuts. And when the night ended in Foxborough, Massachusetts, the contrast between the two was so brutal, so embarrassing, that one of the most respected reporters in Philadelphia wrote a sentence that basically closed the debate, except the official decision still has not been made. And that is exactly where this story gets dangerous. Here is the deal. There is a layer to this competition that almost nobody is explaining properly, and it involves pride, a draft pick spent for nothing, and the very real possibility that Howie Roseman is going to have to publicly admit he got one wrong. If you are a die-hard Eagles fan, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because what gets decided over the next few days determines who takes command of this entire team if something happens to Jalen Hurts in October. The Eagles lost to the New England Patriots 24-21 in the second of 3 preseason games, in a matchup decided in the final minute by a 37-yard touchdown pass from Baron Morton to Nick DeGennaro, thrown over the head of cornerback Isaiah Bolden. But nobody in Philadelphia is talking about the score. Everybody is talking about a 6'6" kid, taken all the way back in the 6th round of the 2023 draft out of Stanford, who came onto the field with a little under 7 minutes left in the first half and turned a stalled offense into a machine that moved the ball. His name is Tanner McKee. Here were his numbers. 16 completions on 22 attempts, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 125.8. All of that across 36 plays. And it was still less than it could have been. McKee threw a third touchdown pass that was dropped by E.J. Jenkins inside the end zone, turning into a turnover on downs. He capped off a 2-minute drill with a screen pass to Britton Covey in the back of the end zone. He fed running back Carson Steele over and over in the passing game, and Steele answered by running right over people. And McKee only came off the field with 57 seconds left, giving way to rookie Cole Payton. And there is a bigger story hiding inside all of that. Sean Mannion's offense had been called miserable after his debut as a play caller in the first preseason game in Baltimore. 1 week later, that same offense showed up sharp, in rhythm, mixing things up, keeping the opposing defense off balance, and producing drives of 77, 62, 56, and 52 yards. Except he did all of that with backup quarterbacks throwing to Carson Steele, Cameron Latou, Britton Covey, and Stone Smart. Now imagine that same play calling with Devonta Smith, Dontavion Wicks, Dallas Goedert, and Saquon Barkley on the field. If Mannion can get that kind of fluidity out of the second and third team, what does he get out of the starters? That might be the most important news of the entire night, and it went almost completely unnoticed in the middle of the quarterback argument. Now let us go to the other side of this story, and here the name is Andy Dalton. The 38-year-old veteran started for the second straight preseason game, which by itself was already a message from the coaching staff about who was ahead. Except Dalton did not deliver again. Across 3 drives and 21 plays, he completed 3 of 10 passes for 44 yards, with no touchdowns, and a passer rating of 45.4. All 3 of those completions went to the same target, wide receiver Darius Cooper, and he nearly handed the ball over twice to cornerback Kindle Vildor. On one of them, the ball hit the ground, and on that very same play, linebacker Gabe Jacas was flagged for roughing the passer, which would have wiped out the interception anyway. On the next play, another throw, this time to Quez Watkins over the middle of the field, nearly ended up in Vildor's hands again. Add up both preseason games and the picture gets even worse. 6 completions on 16 attempts, 64 yards across 9 drives, and a cumulative passer rating of 50.0. This is the same man who has 39,793 career passing yards, 16 seasons in the league. Dalton has not been a disaster in closed practices, but in the 2 games he simply has not brought any juice to the offense, and he has looked every bit of his 38 years. And here is the detail that completely changes how you read this competition. Dalton played with the 2s. McKee played mostly with the 3s. Do you see the size of that distortion? The quarterback who produced nearly 4 times the yardage did it with an offensive line, and a group of receivers who, for the most part, will be released within a matter of days. Nick Sirianni justified Dalton's 2 starts with one word: experience. But experience does not complete passes. And when the player with less help delivers the better football, the conversation stops being about resume and starts being about competence right now. Reuben Frank of NBC Sports Philadelphia went straight to the point and wrote that the competition is basically over. According to him, McKee has to be Jalen Hurts' backup, and maybe Howie Roseman can still find somebody willing to give up a bottom of the draft pick for Dalton. And notice the cruel irony in that sentence. The Eagles handed over a 7th-round pick to bring Dalton in this offseason. Now the best realistic hope is to recover roughly that same value back. The whole experiment, all those second-team reps during OTAs, the entire mandatory minicamp, all of it just to end up exactly where the fan base thought they already were back in January. And what is at stake here is not just some throwaway spot at the bottom of the roster. Jalen Hurts is the absolute engine of this team. Whoever holds the number 2 job is the insurance policy for a franchise that wants to be back in February. McKee has 2 career starts. In the first one, in the finale of the 2024 season against the New York Giants, he completed 27 of 41 passes for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns. And when you add that game to his appearance the week before against the Dallas Cowboys, it comes out to 30 of 45 for 323 yards and 4 touchdowns, with 0 interceptions. Those 4 touchdown passes are the most ever recorded by an Eagles quarterback in his first 2 career games. And there is a contract detail that weighs on all of this. McKee is in the final year of his rookie deal, which means this decision is not only about September, it is about what Philadelphia does with an asset that could go up in smoke in March. Even with all of that on the table, the head coach did not budge. Sirianni said nothing is decided as far as who is the 2 and who is the 3, that both of them will keep getting opportunities in practice and potentially in games, that he wants to see how next week goes, and that, in his own words, he is not there yet. There is 1 preseason game left and roughly 1 week until the final roster deadline. And the question that hangs in the air is simple. Why hold on to a decision that the numbers already seem to have made? But now, to be fair and transparent, it is essential to keep our feet on the ground, because there are 4 pretty heavy counterpoints in this story. First, preseason statistics fool a lot of people. McKee piled up a good chunk of his numbers against third-string defenders from New England, guys who will not be on a roster in September either. Dalton faced the more qualified portion of the opposing defense early in the game, when the best New England backups were still out there. That does not erase the gap, but it gives it context. Second, Sirianni's argument has real merit. Dalton has 16 seasons in the league and more than 170 starts. McKee has exactly 2 starts. If Hurts goes down in the middle of a division showdown, who do you want walking onto that field under maximum pressure? Third, McKee's second career start was not good. In last season's finale, against the Washington Commanders, he completed 21 of 40 passes for 241 yards, with 1 touchdown and 1 interception, in a 24-17 loss. His track record in real games is still short and uneven, and ignoring that would be dishonest. Fourth, the roster math might make the ideal scenario impossible. If no team agrees to take on Dalton in a trade, the Eagles could end up carrying 3 or even 4 quarterbacks, which costs spots at other positions where the roster is already tight. And as long as Dalton stays in that locker room, the pecking order stays ambiguous, and ambiguity at the quarterback position is the last thing a contender needs in September. So the question I am leaving with you comes in 3 parts. First, after 2 preseason games, would you trust the entire season to Tanner McKee as Jalen Hurts' backup? Or do you still prefer having Andy Dalton's experience inside that locker room? Second, do you think Howie Roseman can trade Dalton for anything of value? Or is the veteran simply going to be cut with nothing coming back? And third, this is the uncomfortable one. If the Eagles keep Dalton as the number 2 quarterback even after all of this, what exactly does that tell you about how this coaching staff evaluates its own players? Leave your opinion in the comments. Do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be back later to update you with the latest Eagles news.